Good morning, everybody. Today is our concluding session, and you have a last chance to get more confused than before by asking questions. Yes, yes.
I notice when the answer to this, very often you say, God for this, it, that's not what he had in mind. And it just seems to me a little presumptuous that we could assume that we know what God is thinking or what he had in mind. And I suppose it has something to do with being essentially valid, principle of being validated. But I would just like to explore that. And I wonder if other people have had the same reaction.
Well, ask them and go through.
Has anyone else reacted this way?
Your question sounds like a dismal line of conversation. And that you hear from me.
Well, Dr. Hora would say, this is what's within God's mind. Now, personalized or otherwise.
You said he had it in mind.
Yeah, well, I'm just quoting.
Misquoting.
Misquoting, okay. I open myself up for some hermeneutic clarification.
Is there a way of knowing whether God approves of what we are thinking or not?
Well, from our point of view, what we are studying is validating
Yeah.
in our lives.
Right. So that is the principle of existential validation, which can prove to us that we are on the right track. But there is another criterion for our guidance when we want to know whether our thinking is in line with the will of God, so-called. See, we're talking metaphorically, of course, because God is not a man with a beard. God is, what is God?
Omniactive love.
God is an is. Yes, it's a cosmic consciousness and a force, omniactive love intelligence. It's not a person. Now, so we have the principle of existential validation, but that is exposed. You know, since things are working together for good, we know it must be in line with the fundamental order of existence. But purely subjectively, there is another criterion available to us, which we can rely on, that we are on the right track. What happens when we are confronted with life situations where choices have to be made? And we pray about it, and we meditate over it, and we seek inspiration. We are in great need of some intelligent idea This happens all the time, which would then make it possible for us to respond to life situations in an effective way. What is this criteria which can guide us? How can we know when we have prayed and made a choice that we are on the right track? Is there a way of knowing? It is a unique contribution of metapsychiatry. Nobody knows?
A sense of well-being that one experiences, of
Yeah.
harmony,
Yeah.
of serenity.
Yes, you're close, yes. How do we call this?
Isn't that existentially validating?
No, well, existential validation is exposed, Since it is working out, we know that it was right. But this we can know ahead of time. Jane is very close, but it has a special name. Nobody knows.
At one.
Well, it is really at one moment, but it's a criterion by which we can be certain that we are on the right track. Have you ever heard of PAGL? Have you ever heard of PAGL? Clark, you heard? Tom? What is it?
Assurance, gratitude, and love.
Yes. Well, would you explain how that works?
When you hearing yourself in peaceful, assured, grateful, and loving, then you should make respect to knowledge.
Yeah, yes. PAGL is the subjective criterion whereby we can know that we are on the right track. You see, whenever we are on the wrong track, there is anxiety, uncertainty, agonizing, and gnashing of the teeth. But when we are on the right track, we are aware of PAGL. And that is very helpful. For instance, if you're working with some patients and you run into a problem and you are disturbed about it, then it's a good idea to remove yourself into a quiet place and meditate and pray to see the light which would help this patient and which would help you to understand the meaning of your reaction. And as you become quiet and receptive to inspired wisdom, new ideas may obtain in consciousness. And these ideas can give you a sense of PAGL. And when you have become peaceful, assured, grateful and loving, you can be sure that it's Westinghouse. You can be sure the problem is resolved and it is healed. And invariably you will find that surprising solutions have taken place. Now the question is how to meditate. Would you like to know how to meditate? Would you like to know how to pray? Would you like to know how to be inspired? Would you like to know how to get answers from God directly to all your problems? It is possible. One of the principles of metapsychiatry goes like this. If you know what, you know how. So if you would like to know how to meditate, how to pray, how to commune with the divine mind, you have to know what it is. You have to have a clear understanding of what prayer, meditation, inspiration is, because these are the avenues toward PAGL and the solution of all problems. But what do you think is meditation? What is it? Is it sitting cross-legged in a lotus position? Or what is it? Banging your head against the wall? What is meditation?
The receptivity, openness as a response to divine progress.
Right. It is an endeavor to become aware of our at-one-ment with divine love intelligence, the source of all right ideas. It is an endeavor to become aware that God is our ego, that we don't really have an ego of our own, that God is the only ego there is. How did Jesus put it?
I am the Father.
Yes, he said, of mine own self I can do nothing. It is the Father in me that doeth the works. Which means he disclaimed a personal ego. He said there is no such thing as a personal ego. God is the ego of all of us. Now in meditation we seek the realization of this all-important truth. In metapsychiatry, we distinguish three phases of meditation. The first is a verbal phase. For instance, we take a passage from the Bible, I and my Father are one. Or any other passage which may come to us. And we affirm it verbally. This is verbal meditation or prayer. The second phase is the contemplative form of meditation, where we contemplate the meaning of the words which we have affirmed previously, and we contemplate the relevancy of those words to our immediate experience. Having thus understood the relevancy of a biblical passage or some words of wisdom to our immediate experience, we proceed from contemplation to listening. In an inner silence, we become very quiet and wait for some inspired idea to obtain in consciousness. And we remain in that silence until an idea occurs which will answer our momentary need, or until we become aware of PAGL. It may be that the idea will not come, but instead we become aware of PAGL. Peace, assurance, gratitude, and love. Once we become aware of PAGL, we can stop the meditation and we can confidently look forward to the resolution of whatever problem confronts us. We don't have to know how it is going to happen and when it is going and what will, but we can be confident that it will be resolved or healed. One of the most difficult things to realize is what I mentioned before, that God is our ego. We are so convinced that we have personal ego, and we see everyone as acting from a personal ego standpoint and behaving as if there really was such a thing as a personal ego. And our reactions are constantly saying us, well, I am a person and I live from a personal center of will and power and choice, which is my ego. My ego determines my reactions and responses. This is so convincing that it is very hard, and it takes many years of devoted practice to realize that this personal ego is an illusion. There ain't no such thing in reality. That there is only one ego in the whole universe for everybody. And that is God, omniactive, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, love, intelligence. The more clearly we realize this transcendent truth, the better everything will become in our lives. And our prayers will be more effective, and our work with people will be easier and less complicated. Yes.
What about this comes to my mind when you're talking? When the apostles came back and they were ineffective in casting out devils, and Jesus responds to them that this kind can only be cast out by prayer.
Prayer and fast.
Speaking of the mind test.
Right. Could you explain it to us what it means, mind fasting?
Well, what I'm doing right now is I'm tying it right into this. Fasting as far as your own personal ego is concerned, recognizing the fact that we're powerless to do anything.
Right.
God can act through us.
Right. Very good. Yes. All the teachings of Jesus and the apostles and the prophets and the Oriental sages center around this difficult process of so-called self-transcendence. Self-transcendence is what?
Getting beyond the personal ego, right?
Right, exactly. Yes. It's easy to talk about it, and it's easy to formulate it, and many masters and saints and sages are telling us over and over again in a million ways the same thing. But it is something that cannot be learned conceptually alone. It must be wrought out in life practice. We must struggle daily in every situation for many years to reach a realization of this truth. Indeed, this is what life is all about. We are here to learn this one lesson. Everything in life revolves around it. Who am I? What am I? Where am I? And what is my purpose in life? This is called the meditation on the 4 Ws. It's a meta-psychiatric method. Meditation on the 4 Ws. Who am I? What am I? Where am I? And what is my purpose in life? Can any one of you answer these 4 questions? Or at least some of them? Bob Tomlinson? Is he here? Yes. Can you answer it?
Well, I'd say I've been struggling with those 4 for many years now.
Yes.
And I would say where I'm at right now would be more in terms of what I would call identification with love intelligence, rather than that I am love intelligence, that I am important. And there is still a choice.
That is what?
A choice.
A choice.
That I can either exist in the garbage or I can exist in the city.
Yes.
So that somehow the choice is still there. The identity of who I am. And well, one may be an ignorant choice and maybe the foolish choice is a still a choice.
Yes.
And that may be the deceit of having my own ego.
Right.
But it is still said to me at this point that there is something that's me that can choose one or the other. One is an authentic life. The analogy I use would be like a lamp. It's still a lamp whether it's plugged in. It may be useless unless it's plugged in. But it's still a lamp.
Yes. Right. Very good. Now, if we want to meditate on the 4 Ws, we must know the answers to them, at least intellectually. We start out with intellectual knowledge, and then we work in meditation to get beyond the intellectual knowledge, to move from information to transformation. This can happen in meditation. That which we know about can become existentially integrated knowledge, which we call realization. What is realization? When reality becomes real to us, then we have a realization. This must be differentiated from experiencing. Experiencing doesn't guarantee the validity and the reality of the experience. Just because we are experiencing something, it doesn't prove that it really is. Is this clear? Traditional psychological thinking assumes that if we can experience something, that proves that this thing really exists. Nothing is further from the truth. A hypnotist can make us experience almost anything he wants. And it will not exist. It has nothing to do with reality. So it's important to understand the difference between experiencing things and realizing things. Reality cannot be experienced. It can, however, be realized. Our experiential life has very little to do with reality. Can you fathom the implications of what you just heard? Reality cannot be experienced. It can, however, be realized. So in meditation, we seek to move from experiential life to the realization of the real. Yes.
By definition, then, the only reality can be obtained through meditation.
Absolutely. That, of course, brings into focus the great importance of meditation, not only as not just as a religious practice, but as a way of maintaining contact with reality.
So then, should we feel to speak a lot about reality testing,
Yeah.
which is a cognition that two people are sharing the same experience.
Right, exactly, of course. If I were a hypnotist, I could help you to share any experience I wanted to. I could hypnotize you and you would be dancing the cha-cha and thinking that you're on the Riviera. You would have a shared experience of it, and of course it would be all illusion. But just because there is shared experiencing or so-called consensual validation, that doesn't mean that it is a reality. It's just sharing a dream, an illusion. Sometimes when we are in a class or in a group, and if you look around, you will find that most everybody is only half awake and hearing faintly what is being said. Most of the time we are in our own dreams, having the illusion of thoughtfulness. And some of us even fall asleep completely, and then we don't even hear marginally what is being said. Well, normal life is a dream state. Under normal circumstances, we are all asleep, more or less. In meditation, we seek to wake up. Paradoxically, many people who learn to meditate find they fall asleep while they try to meditate. Reminds me of a man who I came out of the office and he was sitting in the waiting room in deep sleep and in a comfortable chair, slumped down, sleeping. I woke him up. He said, "Oh, I was meditating." So it looks paradoxical because in meditation we seem to appear to be asleep. But in the right meditation, the contrary is true. We are more awake than otherwise.
In this class, we are experiencing, we are each experiencing something.
Sure, sure.
It is my sense that I am experiencing reality.
Yes.
So I don't understand when you say that experience.
Reality cannot be experienced.
So is it so that I am realizing in this class not experiencing?
No, you're experiencing your own thoughts about what is going on. Is this clear? Yes?
What is substantial? And I'm thinking, I guess, of a classical, philosophical debate over what is substance.
Yeah.
What is substantial in mental state?
You will tell us.
The thought to die.
Divine consciousness is the substance of the universe. Or in biblical terms, it is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. Now the problem of wakefulness is a very interesting problem. As long as we are cogitating, we are asleep. Would you believe that? No. The very effect of cogitation is a dream state. We call it a head trip. There's a Zen saying that the enlightened man looks like an idiot and is full of wisdom. What do they mean by that? Exactly that he is not cogitating. He is an open channel for inspiration. The philosopher Heidegger made a point of explaining that there is two kinds of thinking. One is called the calculative thinking. In German it's called das vorstellende Denken. And the other is inspired thought, das andenkende Denken. The word vorstellende Denken means, vorstellen means to put something in front of your eyes, like a screen. And a calculative thinker looks at the world through a screen. And on this screen, he delineates his own thoughts about the situation. Therefore, what he sees is his own imagination. What is imagination? Imagination is image making. When we cogitate and calculate and scheme, we make images in our minds, project them on the screen, and look at life through that screen and call it reality. There was a philosopher in Germany who was called Schleiermacher. You know what that means? His name was Schleiermacher. Yes, that means veil maker. Now Heidegger says everybody is a Schleiermacher who is cogitating. When we are thinking, we are creating screens with images on them through which we are looking at life, and we call it reality. How many times did it happen to you that the harder you tried to explain somebody something, the less he really heard you? And sometimes when two people are arguing about, neither of them can hear the points of the other. They can only see their own thoughts in a situation. It's very frustrating sometimes. This can even happen in correspondence. Sometimes you try to communicate in writing with somebody, and the harder you try to clarify your point, you get letters back which show that they have completely missed the point, and they just keep pressing their own point. So really communication is quite difficult. No wonder there is so much misunderstanding in the world, especially misquoting Gertrude. It's so easy. In order to hear what is being said, one needs the courage to pay attention. Very few people have the courage and the love to pay attention. What is the payment which we pay when we are paying attention? What are we paying?
We're giving up on power.
Right. We are giving up our own thoughts, preferences, choices, imaginings, and confronting another without a screen. That is not easy to do. That is like dying. And that is what Jesus meant when he said, "Greater love had no man that he laid down his life for his friends." Yes?
Is communicating realization or an experience?
Depends on who is involved.
If it's a realization, then I would be meditating and seeing God, love intelligence through someone else, with someone else.
See, meditation also helps us to learn how to pay attention. The quality of our attention is improving through meditation. And we can hear what people are saying. Otherwise, we can only hear what we think they are saying. This is particularly important for a psychotherapist, to be able to hear what a patient is saying without his own thoughts interfering and interpreting and mishearing what the patient is saying. For a psychotherapist, the quotation which I mentioned by Jesus is of tremendous importance. We could say, one of the most important requirements for a psychotherapist is to be able to put aside his own screen that he may hear what the patient is saying. Greater love had no man that he lay down his life for his friends. This is a Christly epistemological principle of psychotherapy. Yes?
On these 4 questions, who, what, where, words like purpose, I have no idea, but where am I? What kind of
Yes. I am glad that you reminded us that we haven't really answered this question. So as a gift for your summer vacation, I will answer you this question, and you can write it down. Who am I? I am a creation of God, an image and likeness of God. What am I? I am an individual manifestation of divine consciousness. Where am I? I live and move and have my being in infinite love intelligence. What is my purpose in life? Can anyone say?
Self-transcendence, self-realization.
To be a beneficial presence in the world.